Stick to Your Guns is a band that sort of, I think, saved my life in a lot of ways. They're the reason why I really wanted to start this band in particular. But I would say them from like a songwriting perspective or content perspective.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey, guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Hang right here on Almost Famous Magazine. Thank you so much for the support you give us while we're bringing you these great hangs with so many fabulous musicians. Appreciate all those people who have subscribed, ringing that bell, sharing our channel and our content. It is really appreciated. Today, we're going to hang with Paul Seymore of the metalcore band FaceTime. They're based out of Houston, Texas. Been together since about 2011, and they actually have a new song out that we're going to talk about called Bury You Alive. So, Paul, welcome to The Hang.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's great. It's great. We do so many of these that are so far away, and you and I are only about 4 hours from one another. So
that's right. Yeah.
You're actually a close guest this week. So I've been getting into your band lately. You've got a great a YouTube page. You got about like almost close to 90 different music videos out there with different songs and different live performances, which is fantastic. Really want to dive in where we dive in with everybody on the Hang, which is your musical background.
Sure.
Did you find music or did music find you?
I would say that music found me. I guess it's kind of a quid pro quo deal. My earliest memories regarding music, I was 3-4 years old, and Michael Jackson was huge. And so I would spend hours and hours. I had the Moonwalker VHS tape, and I ran that thing ragged. But I knew then, as like, I want to do that. Like that looks like it's a lot of fun. So, and from there, I played trombone in the middle school band, and I decided that wasn't going to get me any girls. So, when I was 12, I picked up the guitar, and I started taking guitar lessons when I was 12, from 12 to 14, and then I took a break, and then I went back when I was 16 and 17 and did some additional lessons. And I took music theory in high school. And I was just always, I wasn't very good at sports. I'm not athletic at all. Like if you throw a ball at me, I'll scream and run the other way. But I was decent enough at guitar that I could get by with not being very athletic, and so I've just always gravitated towards music.
So now I got to ask you, how does a guy who starts with Michael Jackson make the leap to metal? I mean, that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah. I think, everyone's musical taste kind of evolve over time. And, I happened to reach the age of puberty right around the same time that like Significant Other, the Limp Bizkit record, was coming out. So I think that was kind of a major catalyst. And I think playing guitar, some of the first riffs I think that most guitar players learn are Metallica riffs. This kind of just when you really get into it. And there's a sort of cathartic experience that occurs when the kind of, not to be like Neanderthalish about it, but like with that primal guttural kind of heavy thing like that, you could just, I think anybody, regardless of age, sex, or race, everybody gets angry. So it was just a real kind of root emotion that I latched onto very early. and it just kind of developed from there. And here I am.
So with Michael Jackson as a very early influence, and you now being a band and you're writing your own songs and putting them out, who are some of the influences that have really shaped your musicality and your sound?
That's an excellent question. I would say Stick to Your Guns is a band that sort of, I think, saved my life in a lot of ways. They're the reason why I really wanted to start this band in particular. But I would say them from like a songwriting perspective or content perspective. As far as guitar players specifically go, I think, over time, I mean, Kill Switch Engage, As I Lay Dying, these kind of bands that were at the forefront of metalcore when it was really, really booming. I mean, I have to, give credit where credit is due. I mean, they kind of, I don't know that they necessarily invented the mold or invented it, but they really broke the mold into the mainstream with it. So they were definitely huge musical influences for me. And then I was listening to all kinds of, even radio rock, like pop rock, in the early 2000s, bands like Crossfade, like some of these bands with really big hooks. I've always loved a big hook. I'm a big hook guy. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down any further than that. I mean, there's so many along the way that you hear. And as an artist, I think you're always kind of stealing, and anyone that says that they're not is a liar. You're always hearing things and then you're doing your version of that. Right. 'Cause you love it so much. And, before we got on, you had, mentioned Taylor Swift. Like I'll rip Taylor Swift off. She has some great, pre-choruses and choruses. So unashamed. But, yeah, that's where I'm at.
So is FaceTime your first band, or were you in a few other bands before FaceTime got together?
So in high school, I started a band called Nowhere to Never with my best friend at the time. He was a Turkish guy named Erhan. He actually recently passed away last year. I started a band in high school, and I played a lot of I got really good at booking my own shows because people don't just hand you stuff. Right. So I learned at 16 years old kind of how to do a door deal. And, you got to get burned a couple of times before they go well. But I got really addicted to, here was this thing that I knew that I could do. And I couldn't necessarily do it well yet, but I was accomplishing things that my peers, very few of them were able to do. And I'd get on the phone with people at 16 years old and I would lie and make myself sound much older than I was, just in order to convince them to book a show that the venue's going to lose money on, right? So it would work out. But that was my first band, Nowhere to Never. And then in college, I was in a band called The Escape Theory that I started with Ali, the singer of FaceTime. He played drums in that band. And we did that for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then that band stopped. And then I graduated college. And my last semester of college, I'd written a bunch of riffs. And I came home and I was studying to take the LSAT when I got back home from college. And so I didn't have like an abundance of free time, but I had enough that I was like, okay, some of this could be something. And that was in late 2010, early 2011. And I kind of cherry picked some people from around town at the time that I thought were really good to sort of help me make these ideas. And there you go. There's FaceTime.
Nice. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about who the band is, some of the strengths of the players in the band, and how they are additive to your songwriting.
Sure. So the band's kind of in a weird spot right now. Currently, technically the only formal members are myself, Ali Abu Amra, who is the singer, and then Frankie Barra is the other guitar player. we recently kind of parted ways with some people, but they're excellent people. I mean, John West is a guy who was in the band playing drums for a good amount of time. He wrote a lot of great songs with us, like Maldives and War. Thomas Middleton, an excellent bass player around town. And frankly, he was just getting pulled in so many different directions because he's so good at what he does. And he does a lot of different things that we ended up parting ways with him. But he was excellent to have in the band. And frankly, it's we still call him and say, hey, we got this show. Do you want to come do this with us? So no bad blood anywhere. But yeah, right now it's and for the last year or so, it's been myself, Frankie Barr, and Ali Abu-Amra, and then Kenny Gardner is a guy who he produces. He's produced every FaceTime song since 2015, I think, and he is. So as far as writing goes, the way it works, and the way it has worked for the last almost decade. I'll come up. I have like 3 riffs that I'll crank out at the house. I have like these 3 parts, and I know that they can go together, right? But I don't know exactly how they fit. So what I would do is I would take these 3 parts, and I would go over to Kenny Gardner's house, his studio, and he would sit there with me, and he would piece it together. And I write all the lyrics. Obviously, like, the guys have their input. If something sucks, I'm not like a total control freak, I promise. But I come up with these rude ideas conceptually, and I word them out. And I'm also very quick. I write very, very fast. And so we'll hand it to them. And if anybody has a problem, we'll change it. But as far as the songwriting process goes, it's really just been me and Kenny Gardner for the longest time, working on, like, if you look at War, the FaceTime song War, we did that song during COVID. And that's an example of, I had 3 riffs. I literally went over, I recorded 3 riffs on 3 separate tracks, not even in a row. And by that, we did that on a Friday night. And by Monday, Kenny had put together what is essentially how you hear War now. It's insane. Wow. He is extremely talented, and he has, very rarely in music can you truly be on the same wavelength with someone else. Right? Where you can lock in, and I don't have to worry. I know he's going to do what's right. And he was that guy. I mean, he just, go for it. But yeah, that's, in a nutshell, that's the writing process.
Nice. So is it safe to say that you're currently looking for some additional members? You never know who's watching. And I'm definitely going to have your contact information and all your social stuff down below. What are you looking for in musicians to fill out the band?
That's a great question. Right now, we have this a gentleman by the name of Thomas Sheltema who's playing drums for us. He's a hired gun, and we kind of like where things are going with him. Really, he's excellent with the technology stuff, and he's very meticulous, and we love that. As far as bass players go, we're going to do something kind of weird the next couple of months, and I've tracked all the bass myself for the live shows, and we're going to see how we feel about doing it as a 4-piece instead of a 5. A lot of bands do that now, especially in metalcore. A lot of metalcore bands, the bass player's on a MacBook, and so we're going to bring our MacBook bass player to the show.
There you go. The bass player's name is MacBook.
That's right.
Now you got a new single out called "Bury You Alive."
Yes.
Where did that come from? Like, what was the impetus for that song?
Okay, so truly, I kind of hate to say this, but truly, I usually write songs off of an emotion. I'll take, I got to get upset about something first, and then I'll write about it. "Bury You Alive" is truly Kenny and I were at an Alpha Wolf show. Alpha Wolf is a metalcore band from Australia. We were at an Alpha Wolf show on a Saturday night, and we were like, man, this kind of rips. The Sunday we're in the studio, we're working, and I had the first riff you hear in that song, I had written that months prior, and I just had it in my back pocket. And then we just kind of built everything around that riff. And then, lyrically, the song is essentially about kind of cutting someone off and, being done with it. And that's just the emotion that I felt attached to that music at the time. But that's where the song is a straight. We were at an Alpha Wolf show. We went into the studio. We're like, we want to do something heavy. We want to. Most of our songs are tuned in A. This is in drop G. So we wanted it. We just wanted it to be big and boomy and kind of really dramatic. Your standard metalcore.
Cool. Now you've got music on Spotify and you've got music on for purchase on I think iTunes, right?
On iTunes, yeah, Amazon Music. It's everywhere.
Okay, so if I was watching today and I'm like, wait a minute, I got to learn about these guys. Of the songs that are your originals that you've released, right, that are out there, what are one or two of them that you feel are the best introductions to the band for someone new?
Sure. I would say War is still our biggest song to date, and I think that song still like kind of encapsulates who we are as a band through and through. I think obviously you got to listen. The new song is That's Where We Are currently, Bury You Alive, and a fan favorite and our forever set ender is a song called Rainbow Road. It was one of the first songs that we ever wrote as a band. And it's just a party. So you gotta go listen to Rainbow Road. So if I had to name three, those would be the three.
Great. Now, every band's got some crazy stories out there. What's one of like your Spinal Tap moments been?
Sure.
FaceTime.
So the first thing that comes to mind for me is, I want to say it was 2011 or 2012. We were playing at this, I believe they called themselves the Free Thinkers at the time. We were playing, it was essentially an anarchist compound in Houston, in just a little to the east of downtown Houston. And they were putting on this big festival, and it was essentially to raise awareness and money for their anarcho causes. And so we were happy to be a part of it. And we walk in, and it was kind of palatial even setup. But we're playing on the floor of one of the rooms, and they had a bunch of different stages. Anyways, we're playing our set. And actually at the time, it's Ali was singing in the band, but Frank at the time was in a band with Thomas Middleton, who I mentioned earlier, and they were supposed to play, and John West, and they were supposed to play right after us. And so we're set up on the floor, we're playing. Things got they didn't get out of control, but they got kind of rowdy. And so then as Frank and Thomas and John are setting up their other band, it was called BFI. We're loading our gear out, and we get met by all these cops in full riot gear. And it actually made Houston Press's like top 3 viral clips of the year or something. Someone shot a video of one of the police officers was a little gung-ho, if you will, and he like racks his shotgun, and you can see out of at the very bottom of the clip, I wish I could find it, but you can see me pushing my amp like to the car, just like kind of like, sneak out the back. Yeah, that's probably the craziest moment. There's also the time Patrick Garcia, he was the original drummer. We were playing at a club called the Mink that's no longer around here, and in order to get to the Mink, there was no like freight elevator or anything. It was on the second floor of this building. So you had to load everything up like this crazy flight of stairs outside. And Pat had enjoyed himself a little too much the night before. And so immediately before we play, as we're carrying gear in, I don't think he collapsed on the stairs, but he's just puking and just going for it. And then we had to get his gear in for him. And then we kind of propped him up behind a drum kit, and he made it through the entire show, to his credit. I don't think he went to the hospital after, but he definitely needed to get hydrated. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And all I can say, I'd love to see that Houston press release. If you find it, let me know before this airs, because we'll put it in the description below as well. But I can just see you like pushing your amp going, Nothing to see here, officer.
Yeah,
Just pushing it right along. That's a great story.
We were trying to cut and run. I was in law school at the time, and I really didn't want to have to explain to the board of law examiners why I was getting arrested at an anarchist compound.
That is definitely a tough corner to get out of. Sure. But speaking of shows and performances on, say 2025 already, so January, February, March, April. In April, on the 13th, you guys are playing White Oak Music Hall in Houston. Tell us about that show.
It's actually March. It's March 29th. That's the day.
It's March 29th. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's
March 29th. Correct. I'm corrected.
Yeah, March 29th. Yeah, we're playing White Oak Music Hall upstairs. I put so it's a co-headliner with us and a band called Godhand from here in Houston, who they are so good. They are just so good, so professional, and they look very scary, but they're the nicest people you'd ever meet in your life. So it's going to be us and them and a band called Soulway from here. They're an instrumental metal band, and the opener is a band called Bounty TX, who it's funny. The singer of that band, we opened So What Music Fest here in Houston back in, it was either 2018 or 2019. And the singer of that band, so it's an all day metal festival, right? And then, so here's your local opener. Hi. Singer of that band, diehard metal fan. His name's Owen. And he was there bright and early. And so we're opening the main stage of this festival. He ends up, I don't think he broke his leg, but he severely injured it while we were playing. And for months and months and years after that, every time he'd see me, he's like, dude, it finally healed. I feel better. And he started, I kept in touch with him, and he started a band called Bounty TX. And so I had an opportunity to put them on, which is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So I said, hey, why don't you come open the show? So.
You mentioned going to law school, and with some of these stories you're telling me, are you an accident and injury lawyer with these things that are going on right around you at these shows?
It's funny. It's the answer is yes. Except I'm not an ambulance chaser. I fight those guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
So. I mean, it seems like you've got a little bit of destruction all around you, but then I think it goes for it kind of goes for the type of music and the band you're in, right?
Yeah, there you go.
It's definitely one for the road. Now, one thing, I'm going to put you on the spot here, okay? And you only get one. You get one answer. You get one answer to this one. If you had the opportunity to get into a studio with another musician for one day to be creative, who would that be and why?
I would. That is a great question. With any other musician, I would have to say, man, I can't pick just. I would really love to be in a room with Jesse Barnett, the lead singer from Stick to Your Guns, and not as much to be creative as to learn. I think is kind of a two-prong. I believe that as you kind of meander through life, you have all these different interactions with people, and some are purely transactional, and then some have various grades of meaning. And I think for someone that has had such an impact on my life without even knowing it, I would really love to be in a room to create something special. Because to be honest with you, FaceTime exists because I was always trying to have as cathartic of an experience as some of those first Stick to Your Guns records had with me. And I've always it's narcissistic in nature, but I've always wanted to do that with somebody else and convey that adequately. It's a lot of the reasons, I don't write in metaphors. All the FaceTime lyrics, if you kind of pick them out, they're very blunt and to the point. I don't sugarcoating anything because I want to be very clear what the point is. And I want, I just want, I'm always striving to have that cathartic experience because growing up, I was ridiculed fairly like mercilessly for the way I looked. I was very underweight. And so I was always trying to find a way, not necessarily to get back at anybody. I was just looking for acceptance. And I didn't realize that I was never going to get it from where I was searching. I was trying to get it from. And so my answer to that was, okay, I'll do it my own way. And the things that inspired me to do that are Jesse Barnett and some of his lyrics. It, just said, hey, it's okay. It's okay that nobody likes you. You'll figure it out and you'll be just fine. He said it in a much more violent way, but essentially that. And so I said, yeah, you know what? And here I am. So yeah, if I had to be in a room with somebody to be creative, I'd want it to be him because I'd really want to learn how he was able to write something that connected so much with me and how I could take that and transpose it.
That's awesome. That's a great story. It really is. And the funny thing is my follow-up question was going to be, what would you want to learn from them? So you've already answered it.
There you go.
So as everyone who watches The Hang knows, I'm a huge proponent of supporting musicians. How do you do that? Number one, you go to their shows. You buy their merch. You buy their music. This stuff doesn't just happen for free. There are people who have to get paid in the process. There are things that have to be made. You got to get a graphic artist. You got to maybe you make vinyl. Maybe you want to do some advertising. All that stuff costs something. And although Paul's band is down to 3 core members right now, getting a $2 payment from Spotify just isn't going to do it for them. So while it's okay to sample out there, please go and support FaceTime by purchasing their music. And if you're in the Houston area, attending their shows. With that, though, we here at The Hang believe that you should always be out sharing music. Let's share the love of the fact that some of us may love a lot of different genres or different types and styles of music, different bands. Who are 3 bands that are kind of in your ear right now that you really like, and then why, and that you feel that people should consider exposing themselves to?
So I recently really got into a band called Diamond Construct. I think they're from Australia. They are, some of the stuff they're doing with guitars and drums, it's insanely creative. I really encourage everybody to check that out. Locally, I gotta say, you gotta go listen to the most recent God Hand record. The stuff that they're doing for heavy music here locally is amazing. So they inspire me all the time. And as a third artist, I would say I've been listening to a lot of Erin Kinsey. She's a country singer from Dallas, who I think she got kind of famous on TikTok, but she has her ability to write a hook is awesome. They just stick with you. So I would say definitely go out and support her as well.
I think that's great. I mean, you've now gone from Michael Jackson to the world of metal to country.
That's
right.
In
less than 30 minutes, dude. You really next thing you know, you never know, the band may be doing metal country. You never know. Could happen.
Hey, it's on the menu.
Or they could end up moonwalking during one of their shows.
That's a goal. That's a goal.
Well, hey, Paul, this has been great. Everybody, if you're in the Houston area, please check out FaceTime. Go see them at White Oak Music Hall. Support them any way you can. And then come back and join us here on The Hang as we continue to have guests of all genres from all over the world, bringing you their stories and really memorializing their stories here for you so that you can get to know them and get to know their art. So thanks, everyone, for joining. Paul, it was great to meet you. Thanks so much for hanging with me.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure being here.
Absolutely. I appreciate you making time. Everybody, we'll see you soon again right here on The Hang.